Has the fear of what's going to happen kept you in limbo? From asking real questions in your relationship of where the relationship's going? Perhaps held you back from asking your friends real pointed questions about your friendship? Or what about not going after that opportunity because of the fear of not getting it? If you're in this situation, you've got to watch this video to dispel the fear in your life and get the answers that you deserve. I'm glad to be back today, friends. And today I'm going to be talking a lot about fear. And I'm going to be addressing the situations when we have those questions, those concerns that we don't bring up because we don't want to rock the boat. We want to be nice. We want to wait for other people to supply the answers and the solutions. And we think that maybe if we just step back, the solutions will appear. But what I've found oftentimes in these situations is that when we wait and we don't ask the questions that we need to ask, and we don't go after the opportunities that we should go after, we have a tendency of what? Being immobile. We have a tendency of being in limbo, and the continued tendency of staying in limbo causes more fear when we try to take action. Okay, so let's talk about specific situations that we tend to put on the back burner because of the fear of the outcome that might actually come about. Okay, one situation is asking someone specifically for help. Second is applying for a job, a raise, or a better job, what have you. Third, dating, exclusivity, dating only one another, or possibly moving in. Another one, sending out contracts or finalization papers of any sort for any type of project where other people actually have to be involved and other people actually have to sign something to continue the project. And last but not least, asking someone for guidance or support, really recognizing if this person is a true friend to you. So in these situations, you ask yourself, why do I keep putting it off? Why do I keep putting off asking somebody for help or going after that opportunity I want or telling the person that I'm with that I like them so much that I just want to see them, or actually putting out some documents that actually finalize a situation and will either go my way or not? Well, the first thing is the fear of finding out, the fear of the actual answer. We're scared to know because things could go one way or another, right? They could go either way. We don't know if the person's going to go the same way we want them to go or the way we want them to go. And so that fear holds us back from asking specific questions and getting those answers. The second thing is that because of that fear, we're hopeful that the situation, the solution is going to present itself and it's going to rectify itself on its own, okay? It's like having a broken leg but not going to the hospital and just believing that it's going to heal itself just fine. And third, we're hoping that another person will actually add the clarity and they can discover it and we can just happen to be there and we don't have to really put ourselves on the line or put ourselves out there to figure it out. And fourth, we keep putting it off because we think it's better on its own, it'll heal on its own, we'll get past it, we'll move on. And if I just stick tight to it, solution will present itself. And last but not least, fearful that we won't get the answer that we like. I mean, all of us have an answer that we would like, we would prefer more than others. But oftentimes, because we would prefer one over the other, we're scared of what the other person's going to say or do. But in reality, isn't it better to know things sooner than later? And so there might be countless situations that you find yourself in that I haven't listed, and the fear factor is still very real, okay? It's still very real, and you're fearful to ask the question. So let's talk about the things that need to be realized to actually overcome the fear waiting game and move on with our life. Because eventually, we're gonna need the answer, no matter if we love the answer or we don't. The first way to overcome the waiting game is to recognize that they're either going to do it or not. So if you ask them a point-blank question about something you need help with or an opportunity or whatever, they're either going to say yes or they're going to say no. And I'm not talking about asking the question like beating around the bush. Oh, well, if you could, and him-hawing around. Direct, concise, and to the point. If they say yes, great. That's awesome. Put energy into that relationship. If they say no, then, well, you've learned what they're going to do, and you can decide if you want to continue to put energy into that relationship or if you need to take that energy back and really focus on another direction in your life. The second thing to realize is that the longer we wait, the more anger, resentment, and sadness we'll get when we finally ask the questions and things do not go our way, okay? Because we get sad, we get angry, we spend all this time waiting on something that doesn't come to fruition. And if you're sitting there right now waiting on something like that, it's time to ask the question. It's time to get into the driver's seat and find out what needs to be done and make a decision from there. When it comes to friendships, relationships, any type of relationship that's personal, the more time we waste hoping and not asking somebody for something or where the relationship is going or the friendship, you could have been spending time with others who really do have your back. Okay? So if you're looking for support from a friend on something or looking for help or wanting to take the relationship to the next level and you're waiting, the longer we wait and we don't get the answer we want, the more time we've wasted. And that's something that you want to think about because we only have a certain amount of time. Time is one of the most valuable things we have on this planet, and we got to use our time and energy as wisely as possible to get the most out of every minute of this life. The fourth thing to realize to overcome the waiting game is we have to move on with our life. Okay, yes, lessons are learned. And when we learn a lesson, it's not all lost time. However, I do think there's a time limit on waiting around in an uncertainty. Okay, there's a time limit for that. And I know that the uncertainty that we have when we are scared or fearful of asking questions actually causes us stress and anxiety, and it doesn't help us. It actually takes away from us. How often have you been feeling fearful or uncertain about something you haven't asked and it takes up your mind share that day? Again, remember, if we continue to waste our time on uncertainty, we lose the time we need to actually make the moves we need to do in this lifetime. And the last thing to realize, and definitely not the least, probably the most important thing, is that when you finally ask and you finally let go of that fear and position yourself in the power position and ask the question that you've needed to ask, you finally know where you stand. When they respond to you, and they not only respond to you yes or no, but they respond with an action that resolves with what they say, you finally know where you stand. And that's powerful. And I believe that sometimes we get angry or sad when we get the answer we don't necessarily want. But isn't it better to get the answer we not necessarily wanted to know where we stood? Are we going to stand there for decades waiting for somebody to decide something that they may never have ever wanted to do? I find that oftentimes we walk on eggshells when it comes to relationships. Many of you out there dating, wondering if the person's going to move in, or are you going to be exclusive, or are they ever going to ask me to marry them? Perhaps with friendships. Will they actually have my back? Are they really my friend? Will they really go the distance? If I ask them to do something, would they really do it for me? Interesting. Are they really there for me? With opportunities in business, can you trust or count on these people that you think you can? Eventually, you have to put something out there, whether it's a contract or a document that specifically states what each person is going to contribute. You can't keep talking about pipe dreams and opportunities when nothing's ever in writing, because it never becomes a reality. And if they are, that's great and that's awesome. If they follow it up with action and you're doing the same thing and it's an awesome relationship, that's awesome. But if it's not, then you know that you've learned a lesson and it's probably time to go elsewhere. No reason to continue to spend time in a direction that you don't want to go. And even though it can be heartbreaking at that moment, it's one of the most powerful things you can have, because you've stopped waiting around and you've realized that time matters. And that when you actually have an answer, it's powerful. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I so appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And it really kind of is like a pat on the back to know that we're reaching amazing people that find this content valuable. In the comment section below this video, I would love it if you revealed the latest time that you ripped off your Band-Aid. When did you rip it off and what was it about? And if you want to, even add the outcome. It might have been great, it might have been painful, but in the end, it was highly valuable, and it certainly powered you up. Stay tuned. There'll be a next video coming out, and in the meantime, don't forget to stay powerful and to continue to live your true life. Are you currently in a toxic relationship and unsure what the next day will bring? Have you often wondered if there's more to life than this? Do you suffer from self-esteem issues that you've had since you were a young child? Have issues or have difficulty speaking with your family? Do you feel surrounded by self-centered people? Seems as though you're always giving and they're always taking. If you've answered yes to any of these questions, you need some answers. The 10-day challenge to live your true life gives you the knowledge and techniques for creating boundaries in your life that help us to deal with family, as well as dealing with those narcissistic and toxic people in your life. It offers the insight into understanding and overcoming your self-esteem issues, and to begin to see for the first time your amazing value. You owe it to yourself to find the power within you.